What's up everyone, Art at Patience Metal Fab, and as promised, I'm bringing you part 2 of the VW Beetle episode. If you guys haven't seen the first part, I'll put a link right up there so you can catch up. We did a ton of work in that one. That was a really exciting one to film and present to you guys. Hopefully you liked it. In this episode, we've got a really cool part of the build where we actually had to notch the body in order to come off the cage and the pan of the car. You guys are gonna see Max doing that in just a couple seconds. Now, by the end of the video, we're also gonna sit down with Gary, who's gonna give us a game plan on the rest of the build, because just like you guys, I'm a little bit in the dark with where we go from here. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to our page, and enjoy. Gary, I was thinking back on the Beetle build when this originally came in as just the pan of the car earlier this year, and I thought we were gonna dedicate one episode to it, and here we are, we've got a full rolling car, and today I thought we were getting rid of this thing, it's going somewhere else, but it seems like we're gonna be finishing it through, following through to the end.
That's what you call the snowball effect. And to our friends in the south, the snowball starts at the top of the hill this big and winds up at the bottom of the hill big enough to take you out. Yeah, car came in with the original plan, went over to Vecchio's, customer kind of changed his mind, his vision for it, right? We kind of talked about this when we did the chassis stuff. He wanted it lower. Bo over at Vecchio's understood that what he wanted, he wasn't gonna be able to do with the existing setup. So it came back over here. Again, it was just supposed to be revise that chassis work, get it down lower, and then send it back over for them to do their thing. Now at this point, the customer has decided that he wants us to get the car to a running condition And then it will go over to Vescio's, where they will do the sheet metal to wide body it, and then the paint and body and that stuff.
So I'd say the biggest impediment to this thing running, and something I didn't think we were going to take on here, is this. There's nothing here, and I know there was some debate on what was going to go in here. So what do we decide this week, and what is going to eventually find its way in the engine bay?
Yeah, we've talked about a hamster wheel, we've talked about EV, we've talked about a Subaru motor, but nope, this thing's getting a good old air-cooled 2.7 liter turbo, makes about 450 horse, coming out of California, a guy by the name of Victor. Builds some wild motors down there for the sand rails. That's what's going in this thing. It'll need a little methanol to make it running right, but to those of you die-hard Volkswagen people out there, this one's staying air-cooled. Width-wise, I think the footprint that it kind of has right now looks pretty good, but he definitely wants to go with a little more wheel and a little less tire. You know, something a little more modern Euro. The car is going to kind of transition from sort of the classic look, some of the stuff Bo has set and Marshall over there at Vescio's. We'll kind of modernize this thing a little bit. A little splitter in the front, nice wide body that kind of blends well with the fenders. They might do a little bit of a speed tail thing in the back. Should be pretty wild when it's all together.
And the coolest thing is Vescio's is going to be able to really close this gap. So once we have the wheel and tire setup, we get it over to them. This is going to be nice and flush and all metal by the time it's said and done. Now that we've got the final engine choice nailed down, it should be here in just a couple of weeks, which gives us some time to start thinking about all the other stuff once we mount that. So what do we got ahead of us?
Yeah, we actually talked to Sean over at Top Stitch, got kind of an interior game plan going, talked to Adrian, sort of what his vision is for the inside of the car. As you guys saw, we found those sweet Recaros for this thing, kind of give it that classic look. We're gonna kind of stick with that. One of the big things he wants is the gauges to look original, so it'll look like an analog gauge setup in it, but it'll be electronic gauges. That way he's got all the modern amenities and the reliability of an electronic gauge setup. We'll be using the AIM PDM for that because it's very programmable. It's got a lot of outputs, got good high, low outputs on it. And that'll tie in well with the fact that the motor is actually going to be fuel injected. The guy that builds them runs them off of Fuel Tech, so we'll be able to tie the Fuel Tech into the AIM and kind of have everything talk to each other real nicely on the car.
So obviously full custom electrical through this car. Also, I suppose, brake lines, we've got cooling lines, oil, everything that needs to go through this. And we did talk about the fuel cell that's going in. Is there any updates on that?
No. Fuel Safe is still building it for us. We did a nice big custom cell kind of wrapped down around the front, which is sort of one of the reasons we didn't even have an option to go liquid cooled on this thing, because we didn't have any room to put a radiator after we made the call on the fuel cell. But yes, brake lines, oil lines, this thing's gonna be a dry sump. We're gonna be able to run all our brake lines and everything down the center spine of the car, so it should be real clean, and then kind of tie it all together.
I'm envisioning probably another half dozen to a dozen episodes, considering we've got engine, plumbing, fuel, wheels, interior, and then eventually exterior and metalwork. There's still a ton to go, which is getting me really excited from thinking it's going to be a one episode, one and done, to a whole series. And at the end of it, it's going to turn out to be something really, really special and unique. It already is, but just envision it in 3 months' time. So if you guys are interested in seeing that follow through, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to our page, and we'll get some progress on this in the coming months.